So we are going to discuss how do we solve the problem of getting interest on our BTC holdings in terms of BTC, but that shouldn't involve any third party we need to trust. It should be trustless. It should be non-custodial. It shouldn't be Ethereum smart contract or some other shitcoin or shit network involved. We need to solve this problem using Bitcoin and the things involved in Bitcoin. I have some ideas like how to get interest on, or how do we get profits from any BTC investment, which can be low risk investment and get some rewards or profits over a long period of time. I've shared three links in the text chat in the Discord server. The first link talks about crowdfunding using two of three multi-sig DCA, join market, and blockonomics. So I'll describe that in short. Basically, it creates a two of three multi-sig escrow or smart contract using Bitcoin, and it'll be funded by BTC. That BTC will be used at different time periods using different algorithms in different things to get returns over a long period of time. So we need to think of different projects involved in Bitcoin, which are trustless, which are non-custodial, which can be used to get profits. One of them is Join Market. Join Market is a coin join implementation. So people can be a maker over there or taker. It works on maker taker model. So when you provide liquidity in that join market implementation for the others to do coin join, you get some profit from it. So for I'm just sharing an example. I don't have the exact numbers, but I can like share the details later. Or how much do you get in return, and it changes. Like it's not constant. So if I put in one BTC there for providing the liquidity in join market, and it stays there for a long period of time, and it is used by others for doing the coin join, I'll be getting some 0.05 BTC maybe after a few weeks. So that's how it works, and it can be used to get profits which can be implemented in your Hexa wallet or some other open source Bitcoin wallet to implement the interest part. You can get interest on your BTC holdings, in short. The other thing which I had described in that idea of two of three multi-sig crowdfunding thing was using the same BTC amount, not the whole amount, but some part of it to do DCA. So DC, dollar cost averaging is basically buying Bitcoin regularly, like every week or every month with small amounts, and manage it in a way so that you remain in profits over a long period of time. But since we won't be involving fiat here, so we won't buy Bitcoin, but we can long Bitcoin on a derivative exchange that has the option to long or short Bitcoin. So you can open a 1x leverage long position to do the same. But since we are looking to solve this problem using trustless way, we cannot involve some derivatives exchange, centralized derivatives exchange like BitMEX or Delta exchange or some other exchange. Otherwise we could have used the APIs of one of those exchanges and like open a 1x leverage long position and keep adding small amounts over a long period of time in a contract which expires in like 6 months or something. So Blockstream done had done one experiment. I've shared the link in the Discord text chat. They have tried to create trust minimized Bitcoin derivatives in which you don't need to trust any centralized exchange. You can do the same thing which you do on any exchange like BitMEX using peer to peer derivatives.
Sorry, just to pitch in here. So it's actually our idea at the DCA. So it's called basket lock contracts. Dash wrote it. The idea is, yeah, peer-to-peer contracts, and you can do what you want. And you have signed signatures from both ends. So that's how it works. I can go into detail, but for folks who know DLCs, this is DLCs Anand.
So discrete log contracts is what he was mentioning. Varun, you were cutting off a
It's,
little bit. That's why I'm
it's
repeating
mentioned.
you.
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
it's mentioned. Discrete log contracts is mentioned in that link
So,
as well.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we actually came up with this idea, and yeah, we sold it to Blockstream in some sense. I'm not getting into politics here, but anyway, so the idea is you have pre-signed transactions from both ends, and then have you have an oracle which can handle, which can get in some data and which can do some cool stuff. So in short, that's how it works.
Okay, great.
Varun was working on DLC himself at MIT DCI, and he knows the inside
So
out.
he might be the best person to explain this. I'll be honest, I don't have like the proper knowledge about it, or I have not even tried that if that
That's
works
a
right.
Yeah, that's okay. So Varun, if I get it correctly, basically it's nothing but like a peer-to-peer contract between a one person going long and the other going short, right?
Exactly. So you have to
And then
pre-complete.
the oracle comes in and the it's the similar thing we discussed.
Exactly, and you could also do this over Lightning so that you don't go to the blockchain for each latest update or whatever the oracle says. Some if some condition gets fulfilled, you don't want to go to the blockchain if fees are very high. So you can construct this over Lightning, which is what I believe blockchain did, or rather cryptograph did.
So this is so great. Two great points. So great these 2 points. But see the first one. We'll start with the second one. The second one is where you really need a marketplace for peer-to-peer network. So what happens in this case is really where it gets stuck. It's not the technical part of it, but getting the right peers that you want to long with. So it's similar to the problem of one. They have to be wanting to go long or short with the same amount for the same time frame, and they should be able to, but they should be on the same technology. So they should have the same side of contracts. So this is possible. Definitely, technically, it is possible, but it is one of the things which needs a very. It's not something. See, Hexa is very much Hexa or any wallet we want to develop. The Bitcoiners can do it very easily, right? They have different ways of doing it. But when it comes to developing it and having a savings account, interest earning savings account for general people, they want something which works. So if they put the money there, it shouldn't come back and say, "Oh, I couldn't find a peer, and therefore I can't create a savings account." And what is going to happen here is that is going to be 99% of the times the case. So that's one thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, that makes sense. But the whole idea, like overall idea, is to think of all possible ways in which we can invest the BTC of a user uh, in a trustless way, in a non-custodial way, that can be used to get profits over a long period of time. So maybe I have only two options to think of right now. One is doing the peer-to-peer derivatives. The next is
Yeah. So these two both are really what I would say is they are really good streams of thought. Definitely some good tech out there to be used. What we should think about is not just necessarily having a savings account for a user which does this and this. That's great if we can achieve that, but you could have other features also, right? You don't need to have it in a way where only this is possible. As long as it is non-custodial, and it is Bitcoin, there are you could use the same tech for different things. For example, you could use DLC for having a stable value within your wallet, which is pegged to dollar. You could have the joint market for improving the privacy of your coins in the wallet. So these are good, good tech ideas, and we can use it for many things, not just savings account. So we should generalize it in terms of, okay, if it is non-custodial and a Bitcoin only customer, what are the different things that I can provide, which is within the financial needs of the person. Investing is one financial need, saving is another financial need, earning interest is another one. So that would be a slightly better way of thinking about it, right?
Yes, I agree with that.
So join market and being a maker over there, that is something which not just doesn't help invest, but it will also help get you more privacy. So that's another way to look at it. So there is something called yield generator. I don't know it, in a lot of detail, but we have to look at the security of it as well.
Okay, so this was about the ideas and opinion I have on this topic. Like now you can add your points. How can we solve this problem and implement this in a wallet?
I'd like to take a step back actually. What I'll do is the idea is, if you understand the construct of Hexa, you will understand that it is not just a certain type of account. There's so many things possible, and that we could strive at doing. Now, what we are doing with Hexa is, I'm going to share some screens. I'll just copy paste the screen on the Discord channel. You will get the point. Hexa is the way Hexa is designed, the backup mechanism of Hexa, and the dynamic recovery of Hexa. It is designed in a way that you can add any Bitcoin service to it. Right? User Bitcoin service to it, any type of account, any type of new feature to Hexa, and doesn't have to worry about the recovery of it, the backup of it, or how do you kind of communicate with your contacts or anything like that. That is, once you understand that, you would realize that how we are, why we are talking to so many other Bitcoin companies to see how we can integrate them, let them integrate into Hexa. It is kind of going to be a gateway for a lot of Bitcoin services and Bitcoin features, and people who develop it can, they're happy to keep, we're happy for them to keep most of the part of the revenue. um, and yeah, these are the kind of discussions that are going on. Can you see the image I've shared?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, so see this. If you see, we already have a few accounts. One is a checking account, which is a single sig, which is one is a savings account, which is a two of three multi sig. It is actually a two of three multi sig account already, and there's a test account which is on the test net, right, so that you can play with it. But the most important part is the add account feature. Now when you want to add an account, we are talking to talking to Brian Bishop to see if we can have a vault account. We are thinking about having a joint account there. We are talking to other companies which can provide collaborative custody and provide investment options. RGB is another option where you can actually have different assets as an account. So probably we can have a dollar account. We can even have this is all futuristic. We can have an account which is Apple shares as an asset on Bitcoin RGB. So there are many options that you can type of accounts that you can add. What we are talking about here is a framework where once you create an account, the backup of the account, any additional data that is needed for the backup is taken care by the wallet. The encryption, decryption, everything is taken care of by the wallet. So we have essentially spent the last 1 year building this core infrastructure of a wallet, which lets you add whatever you want to add as long as it is talking to the Bitcoin network, and it follows a non-custodial model. So that's one part of it, right? Use something else. So it is not just the type of account, even the type of services. What you could do is, for example, we were talking to GetBitter, we are talking to Fast Bitcoin and Hodl Hodl. What they want to do there, they want to add their services on top of Hexa. So what that would mean is that, for example, if someone wants to buy using one of their services, they can just go to add within Hexa, and then they can say, okay, well, I have a Fast Bitcoin voucher, I want to buy Bitcoin. So they can connect to their service. They can buy Bitcoin there. It gets deposited into one of the accounts, and then essentially they keep whatever part of the margin they keep, and we keep some part of it. But what it makes it is a single stop shop for the user. They can add new types of features as accounts. They can add new services, buy from different places and stuff like that. So it is not just types of accounts, but type of features. Again, they don't have to worry about how does it get backed up, how does it get encrypted. It can create a new account, or it can be as a part of a separate one of the existing accounts. So all that is possible. So that is the way we should think about it. If there is kind of a feature which makes sense in this kind of construct, then it can be a interest earning savings account. Perfectly a good example. But it doesn't just have to be that. It can be anything. It can be a joint account. It can be an enterprise account. It can be anything like that. One service that is getting added, but we are in talks, and there are many other services you can add to Excel. So as soon as you go to plus, you can add any kind of the list is very small right now. You can add contacts, but that is separate. I'll talk about that. But what you can also add is stuff like this, like you can have any kind of service. So if you are, for example, if you're providing a collaborative custody service, which where you hold one of the keys and the user can hold two keys or anything like that, you can probably use this mechanism. Right, you guys can see the screen.
Yes, yes, we can.
Right? So that is the fundamental construct of Hexa, and if you can reuse it for any purpose in a non-custodial way, then that makes sense. I'll share one more screen. It doesn't just do the backup and recovery automatically. It doesn't just give you multi-account, but what it also gives you is a way to connect with your contacts in a seamless way. So you can actually, without asking for an address, you can connect with your contact, right? So can you see the new screen?
Yeah.
Cool. So most of the time, how we do in the banking space is because people are used to it, and it's actually easy. If I have to send you money, I do not need to first ask for an address, ideally, and then send you money. What it does is it uses BIP 46 or some other mechanism in the background, but it generates a new address for your contact and sends it to that person. So you don't even
So,
have to connect with ask the user for their address. So what this gives you is a peer-to-peer network amongst all Hexa wallets. So when we introduce Lightning Network, basically there will be an existing route between all the wallets, where you don't really need to worry about the routing part of it. When we introduce an asset, for example, a dollar asset or something else on top of Bitcoin, then you can actually send those assets to any of the Hexa users. That channel and that peer-to-peer wallet network is already built into it. So that is something also you can utilize, right? So if you understand these three main aspects of it, and you can think of anything that you guys, anyone or in this group or otherwise wants to add, it is very easy to add. You don't have to create a new wallet. The key store is there. The backup mechanism is there. Everything is there. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
Anand, just because I can see it right in front of me, maybe you might want to quickly drop a word on why is it that that shield is showing a red exclamation mark? I know that, but
Yeah, yeah.
that is a unique, distinct feature that we have, right?
This is downloaded, and because I have a new wallet that I've downloaded, I haven't done the backup yet. And what the user sees is, if you have not done the backup, you will see that the safety of the wallet is in red. So, have you guys looked at the recovery part of the wallet?
no, not yet. I had a different question. Like, you were explaining how we could send to anyone who is using the same wallet without even asking for the address. So,
Right.
like, the first condition is he should be using Hexa wallet. He cannot be on some other wallet, right?
Correct.
And
For now. For now, we have another project where we are trying to develop a wallet to wallet protocol for Bitcoin wallets. It will take its own time. But if other wallets start using that protocol, then you don't really even need, this can be extended outside Hexa as well.
Okay, and is
So
there any privacy concern in this feature? Like, is it
no, we
similar to
use BIP47.
having-
It's very similar to Paynim. Paynim uses BIP47, and
Okay,
we are also using BIP47. But instead of having a Paynim and having to remember a Paynim, we use the address book. So you have your own address book. We don't keep the address book. You just say, okay, this particular payment reference is associated with my contact Abhilash. So then I don't need to remember his pay name. I just go to my address book within the app and I just send a payment. So it's actually one step easier than pay names,
okay.
right? The way backup happens is actually, I thought, that is one of the first features we had. Backup happens is it is a Shamir secret sharing. It's a 3 of 5 Shamir secret sharing. The mnemonic is actually sharded in 5 different shares. And the Shamir secret, the way Shamir secret sharing works is if you get back any of those 3 shares, you can instantly recreate the whole of your wallet. So you don't really need to write down the seed and have a single point of failure. You can actually spread it out in 5 places without reducing the entropy. And at the same time, even if you lose 1 or 2 parts of it, you can still recover the wallet. So the reason the shield was showing red is because I hadn't backed up my wallet properly, right? So this is also where we can introduce services. You can have your friends and family one of your recovery keys, one of your other phones holding one of the recovery key. You can also have services like Casa or Unchained Capital or someone holding one of your keys. That's where they can. So that's another area where people can introduce services, right?
How do we get like Unchained Capital involved in this?
So I did
They
speak to Dhruv a couple of times. They have something called Caravan. You know Caravan, right?
Yes, I've tried that.
Awesome. So what Caravan does is basically there are 2 ways of doing it. One, use Caravan, have a multi-sig. So you can say, okay, for one of my accounts, like my saving account, I don't want to keep the secondary mnemonic from 2FA, from the 2 of 3 multi-sig. I want to keep it with a service provider like Unchained Capital. So you will have to use Caravan to do the communication. And now the latest version of Caravan actually has XPub support as well. So that makes it even more communicable with other wallets. So that these are just examples. There are many other companies who want to do like collaborative custody. So they can help you recover. All they need, Ledger is another example. You can actually store a piece of data in Ledger or Trezor. So you can with one of the recovery keys, and or maybe have 2 ledgers and 2 Trezors and one cold card, having 5 of your recovery keys, and then when you bring back 3 of them, then your wallet gets recovered. So the flexibility is huge. I'm trying to show you the phase you can actually extend the functionality without worrying about the core of it. How does it get backed up? How does it get encrypted? How does the communication happen between contacts? You don't have to worry about any of that. That is all built in. So when you're thinking about a new feature, you can use these concepts. Make sense?
Yes, looks good. I'll have to try more things with Hexa Wallet.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a bunch of features which are integrated and work together. And you can build a new account, new feature, new mixing mechanism, new service, anything on top of it. And obviously the commercial goes along with it. For example, one of the services I showed you, if they are building it on top of Hexa, then obviously most of the there's a commercial agreement, they get a part of it as well. And if it is just a simple feature, then then you get a name. If it's not of a commercial impact, then you at least get to understand the Hexa framework. You get to put your name there, and probably you will understand how to develop more on top of Hexa. So that's how we are looking. We have been working under the radar till now. So we haven't been out too much in the public, but with the next release, that's where Abhilash will put everything in fourth gear or fifth probably, and push out things. So you will hear much more about Hexawallet then.
Okay. Vishesh, you have any points to add here or any questions?
Yeah, I actually do have a question. The solutions that we've explored so far are quite interesting, sure, but from newbies' standpoint, I think one that we haven't explored is basically lending and borrowing. Now, lending and borrowing is very complicated when it comes to trustless setups. So, I was wondering if anyone had any ideas around it.
So lending and borrowing by definition, sorry to jump in, but lending and again another thing we have it's a very basic financial need, and that's why we have obviously thought of it. Lending and borrowing by definition cannot be trustless. You will have to give it to someone, and probably make sure that so what Unchained has a vault product. What happens there is you simply give them your Bitcoin and take a loan against that asset. So they put it in 2 of 3 multisig. It is completely in their hands. But because you have one of the keys, you can actually, or you can always see the balance, and you can make sure that they haven't moved the coins. So yes, you can get a loan against an asset, a secured loan against, like, I think 60% of your Bitcoin's value, and then you have margin calls and stuff. But it is important for them to actually keep a hold of that. Otherwise, they don't have any guarantees, and you might take a loan and run away. So definitely these services. There might be some services like this where it is not completely custodial, but definitely this is something that if it is transparent to the user and the user knows that okay, I have to trust the third party for this particular financial service, then that is definitely worth considering.
What about peer-to-peer lending and borrowing?
Yeah, even there you have to trust the peer, because what you cannot do is, if you're lending it to someone, they want to use that money, right? So if you're lending it to someone, if you say you want to hold it in a 2 of 2 multisig, so that the other person gets it, but you also have hold of it, then actually that person can't use that money. So it's not really a loan. The main reason businesses take loan is so that they can buy an asset with it, or spend it, getting their business up, and then they return it to you. So you have to let it go and let them get take that money away.
I got it. Thanks.
It's transparent, and you have a clear warning that right now, when you're putting money here, you're actually giving it to a third party because of XYZ reason. People understand everything. Lending and borrowing definitely can't be non-custodial or trustless. So that's how that will be.
A lot of things related to what Vishesh was asking, but I still don't have much knowledge to comment on this right now. But maybe I can do some research later and share things in the Telegram group. But I think it is possible, like similar to what people are trying on the DeFi apps on Ethereum. The same things are possible on Bitcoin using multi-sig contracts. In smart contracts are nothing but multi-sig addresses which have conditions to like lock and spend at a
Yeah, what you can't do in
time
Bitcoin
or
is
something similar.
basically read the value of the transaction. You can have multisig, but you cannot have a multisig encumbered with the value of the transaction. So, for example, you can't say that Varun, and Priyank are getting into a multisig, and I can spend out of the one Bitcoin. I can spend only if it is less than 0.1. So I can't specify the output value as an input into the condition, into the script. That's actually the major difference why Ethereum is more expressive there. Otherwise, multisig is definitely way stronger, and it is actually built. It's native to the protocol, so it's much more resilient and stronger than a smart contract.
Just a plugin here. So what you just mentioned, so you can't actually specify, say, I get 0.1, you get 0.9 in advance. This is what is done by secure the bag. I know it has a different name now. I believe it's check template verify. What it essentially does is what you can do is you can bunch. So you can say at this point I'm going to send money to this address, and you can define some contracts. Jeremy is also working on smart contracting language, which might be similar to it. I don't know what he's doing, but the idea is to have an easily programmable secure the bag construction, because that solves a good amount of problems. But again, it is not known which fork of secure the bag will be in. Sorry, of check template verify will be in, because it could be which node, it could be with graph loop. So I don't know which fork it is.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. So we will have more expressiveness, but I think it is at least a year or two away, if not less.
Yeah, I think the first fork is at least a year away, because according to the BIP, the signaling goes for 1 year if people want to support the soft fork or not, and there's the actual signaling. So you can, even if it goes fast, you could probably say a year, 15 months for the first fork. What goes
Yeah.
into the first fork is not yet in, but
We are actually talking to a lot of people who are interested, and teams who are interested, um, who are working on top of Hexa, and will be more than happy to support you guys as well.
so guys, I guess again, if Anand can allow, so we are still looking. So if you, by any chance, if you know React Native or anything, we are looking for people. So, and if you know people who know React Native and who want to contribute to Bitcoin, please let us know. We'd be really happy. And of course, we welcome testers for Hexa. And not, yeah, just a cheap plugin. Sorry about that.
Important, yeah. So you can contribute as yourself and be a part of that. Or we are also looking for React Native people.
Sure, if I find someone who can be helpful, I'll let you know. Since we were discussing about Bitcoin scripting and how expressive it is, uh, do you guys have any comments on like Miniscript, which was I think September 2019, Peter decided to share about it. Few people from Blockstream have worked on Miniscript. It was basically streamlined Bitcoin scripting. I'm not sure if that improves anything and how
Miniscript,
we.
that's a good question actually. So Script was, and as you rightly told earlier, it was presented by Andrew, or it was developed by Peter, Andrew, and one more guy at Blockstream. So the idea is Miniscript compiles down to so rather, so there are three parts in Miniscript. So there's the actual, there's Bitcoin script, and then there's Miniscript. And on top of that, there is a layer. There's an easier layer. You can imagine it as human readable layer or whatever. The human readable layer compiles down to Miniscript, and the Miniscript compiler will compile that into Bitcoin script. And so in terms of writing Bitcoin script contracts, I think Miniscript is really useful because you can use Miniscript to do some things. The problem with Miniscript and the problem with sort of different set of things right now is really that they have an API in Rust. They don't have a JavaScript port yet. If you're using that for a wallet, you need a JavaScript port. And if you want to write a JavaScript code, you need a person who knows both Rust and JavaScript, and you need people to help you coordinate some stuff, because Miniscript does have some interesting parts to it. And if you go through Rust code as well, it's interesting. So I think that's the problem we're facing, is that so you may ask, Rust compiles to WASM. Now what's going on here? If Rust compiles to WASM, you still need a native API to interact with the WASM package that you compile Rust to. I think that's the problem we're facing. But to answer your question again, it doesn't improve Bitcoin script, but it makes writing script easier. As it is right now, it's in Rust, so we can't actually use that right away. Other apps can't use it right now. There is a C++ code. I believe Peter hasn't open sourced it yet because he doesn't want others to copy something. Or this was the case at least in like October 2019 last. I was up to date on it.
So
The C++.
Varun, I've shared your article on the Discord channel, the one you wrote for publication. So guys,
Yeah.
Varun did write quite a nice article or blog on Miniscript. Have a look at it.
Yes, I'll go through that
So
later.
we have a publication also, like we whoever team, we end up writing some stuff. We already have a bunch of really good articles on there, and we also get contribution from some of the non-team members as a part of that publication. Feel free to read up, comment on it, talk about it, share. You can even contribute if you are keen on writing.
So, Jester, I think, was interested in exploring ways to earn BTC using nodes and running Lightning nodes. Does Hexa Wallet also support node wallets?
So Lightning, we don't have Lightning right now, but we will support. If we have Lightning, Hexa will be a Lightning node, and but we are not. Yeah, we're not sure how it will work out in terms of earning BTC. The best way if you want to earn BTC through routing is best to set up a routing node. It's not a receiving node necessarily or a transacting node, but it is specially set up so that it can find the best route and get the best fee out of stuff. So a wallet is not a good idea for that. Probably a separate Lightning node makes a lot more sense. Would serve good as a good sender and receiver node, but not really a full time online routing node. That's the reason it's best to have it on a desktop or something.
See, I see just of a message from Angel. This is yeah, you're right. So it is hard to do on mobile since you need uptime for it. The way it'll rather the way it'll work is you'll have watchtowers in between, and these watchtowers will be paid services. Either paid by BitHave or paid in part by users who want to safeguard high value Lightning channels. And there are different constructions of watchtowers. There's one provided by Laulu. There's one provided by there are different constructions we can do, but again, the problem here is that Lightning itself is in a beta stage. Watchtowers, I don't think there's anyone actively working on it. Code we had is not applicable directly, or rather, the code because it's old. It was in like 2017. So so to solve uptime, you need someone who can effectively present state in non partisan manner of sorts. For that, you need a watchtower. But if the op CS input will fork or soft fork or whatever goes in, you don't need it. Again, that's away. So
Absolutely. One thing we do have, which other wallets don't have, is this relay mechanism. So be online, you send the invoice, and then your wallet image on the relay can get a notification that you have got a payment. So by the very basic of the basic fundamental part of the bolt is that you might have to have both the nodes online to find a route. But I guess with the relay, we are thinking of ways how we can avoid that. So it will be easier for people to find route to Hexa wallets and the other way around.
Okay, and what about the full node part? If someone is using his own, he wants to run his own full node, is that
Yeah,
possible with Hexa wallet?
yeah, definitely. That's one of the very important roadmap things. It's not yet there. Like Lightning is not yet there, but we have like a roadmap of 1 year. So there are a lot of things we want to do, supporting your own node, privacy, hardware wallet support, and Lightning are a part of it. So we'll get there.
Just to add, so it's actually very easy to route to your own Bitcoin node. Instead, you need to run your own instance of wrapper, which we use, provide some nice things to interface with Bitcoin Core. If you run the wrapper, which is again open source, you just fork hexa and you remove, say, api.bithave to api.varun.com. It should work
Yeah.
perfectly. The wrapper
Yeah.
is the key part.
So the way we are thinking about it is you go into the advanced, you say by default it will be connecting to a default node, BitHive node. But if you want to go into the advanced and say connect to my node, you can have a node ready and set up using our open source wrapper. Not our open source wrapper, but the wrapper we have. And all you then need to do is provide a link like Varun said. So it will change it in the background. But that's probably a, a few months down the line.
Yes, that will be great because we already have a lot of people in Bitcoin who don't understand the importance of running full node, and the number of full nodes are also decreasing in the last few.
So as an addendum, I think, so it's actually not a matter of a full node. Actually, you have to run your own explorer. Because even if you run your full node and you perform, if you run a full node, you still have to perform three operations on it. Bitcoin's own TX index is not that good, or its wrappers are not that well exposed. You have to write software which actually communicates with Bitcoin Core to through its indexing, which is what an explorer does. So you have to run your own explorer instance, and you have to run your own core node. And of course, if you don't run your own explorer and you run just your node, you only get block validation. You don't get transaction balance, or you can get it, but you can't get it fast enough for you to be able to use your wallet in a meaningful manner.
Does that help?
Yes.
So Varun, you also need it to be an economic node, right? It's not just the node. To really have an impact, it should be a economically active node.
Economically active as in the context of
Verify your own transaction. So if
yeah,
you're running a node and not connecting your wallet or bitcoins to it, then it's not that important.
and your node itself must have all the standard things, be connected to good nodes. It should be a
Yeah.
public node ideally, but the major sort of requirements is you should have a full node. You should have an explorer as well, because you can't use an app without an explorer. And yeah, so actually, I think it's more useful to run an explorer rather than your own full node, because full node provides block validation, and if people are lying on blocks, it's actually easier to verify than if people are lying on balances. In the context of your app, not in the bigger context of it. If people lie on a block, it doesn't actually have direct impact on how you use the app. If people lie on your balance and say you have zero point 0.5 Bitcoin lesser than you're supposed to say, have lies for some reason, that's more impactful. And so I think if you can just connect to a public core node, manage to run your own private explorer. That's the best case. That, for any wallet, not just Hexa or
I
anything.
think I don't agree to everything you said, because you can have both. You can have your own full node and you can have your own open source explorer. There are a lot of open source explorers out there, like BTC Pay server has NB Explorer, I guess. So you can implement that uh, locally on your machine, and you can
It's not,
also have your own full node. So
of
both
course,
have their importance.
it's not a, yeah, of course, if you have the resources, yes. If you're constrained for resources, it must be noted that the most efficient explorer right now is written in Rust by Blockstream. So it takes about on a very good instance, it takes about 4 to 5 days to index, and occupies about 800 gigabytes. So that's okay. It takes 1.2 terabyte to actually index it, but it shortens down to somewhere around 600 gigabytes. It's a matter of space, bandwidth. Of course, you have those considerations as well. Yes, if you have resources, do agree. You if you can run a node and an explorer, that's the best case. If you can't run, if you have to choose between the two, choose the explorer because it has more value.
So guys, we don't rely on SPV. We have our own node. So we have set it up. We have optimized it. There's the Explorer. So it's going to be a very easy step for us to get that running for our customers as well. And that is what our intention is. So yeah, just watch this space.
I think the framework that you're trying to lay out is pretty good, looks promising, and I look forward to further developments.
Yeah. See, one of the best ways is a lot of people are helping us with the testing. So one of the ways to I've shown you some screens and some parts of it, but if you guys can help us with the test, some community testing, then that would be a real good help. And that we make sure that you understand the nuts and bolts of it when you want to, jump in and help out and build your own account or service. See, one thing is that there are a lot of small companies out there, and some of them don't survive. A lot of companies got closed down. We have a very stable structure in the UK, and it's a UK company, and we also have something which is very unheard of in terms of we have a government recognition of tax benefits for people who invest in us. So the point I'm trying to make it is that BitHive is going to be there for the long term. We have all the regulatory and things in place so that we don't really need to close down like BottlePay had to do or GetBitter had to do. At the same time, remaining completely non-custodial and not taking any of the users' private information, not even a email ID. So it was a lot of hard work. We spent more than a year on it, but now it's the time that the foundation is there, and we have to build as many buildings on it as possible. So do start helping out on the testing if you guys can, and obviously anything else.
Sure, we'll try to test different things with Hexa wallet and give our feedback in in next few weeks. I have one request from the people who are involved in Hexa wallet. If you can contribute to this Bitcoin only community which we have made in India in different in other things, like you can add more people who are interested to uh, discuss about Bitcoin. You can also be involved in meetups in future.
Oh yeah,
There is
absolutely. Definitely we should do that. In India, we are not a part of any other Bitcoin group. Outside in UK, US, we have some connections, and it's going very well there. But I do think that India is completely underutilized in terms of what we are doing for Bitcoin. So more than happy to help there. We should do meetups together and whatever we can. And yeah, let's build this out. So Bitcoin is really close to our heart. We can talk about anything Bitcoin, but you guys might know a lot of it anyway. But if it is anything specific Hexa, then we can also help further. We have a Hexa, product Telegram group, which is a good place if we want to have Hexa specific discussions as well. Like when we get into the specifics of Hexa, and we can do it there as well. So there might be things you might want to ask, understand, suggest, build on. Please feel free to join the group and contribute, test and contribute.
okay. Thanks. So it was great having you all.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care.
All
Good
right,
night.
thanks, guys.